something you don't know. You need a little enlightening, it'll make you grow.
Hey guys, good evening. Today we have Dr. Shanta joining us on this show. This show is quite different. Namaskaram, sir.
Namaskaram, Dr. Ravi.
Namaskaram. So this show is very different. We have requested Dr. Shanta to come on this particular show because we've been going through a lot. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of negativity around right now, and we definitely need some help, some spiritual help, some help with respect to consciousness. There are a lot of religions out there. Everybody has their own philosophy, and everybody has something which is very nice, which we can adapt. So today's discussion is going to be something quite different, and I really request Dr. Shanta to help us out in this particular pandemic and covering this particular thing. And to give a quick introduction about Dr. Shanta, he's done his engineering. He's done his engineering in hydrodynamics. He's been completely into science and engineering, and suddenly he's met his spiritual guru one day. He completely switched gear and moved into spirituality. So we will hear more about that, and we have some questions that we want to ask about spirituality. How do we calm ourselves down? How do we handle ourselves in this particular situation? So thanks a lot, sir, for having you here. So Dr. Shanta, before we get into the topic, people and the friends who are watching this particular episode would love to know about you. What I'm particularly very curious about what happened during that particular interaction when you met your spiritual guru, and why did you switch your gears after doing so much of education? You in the engineering and science, you're a scientist. How did you switch gears to spirituality, and what is the purpose you're seeing in yourself? And then we will get on to the questions. So over to you, sir.
Namaste, Ravi. I am very happy to have this type of dialogue on this platform. So actually, in my life, I was actually a kind of a normal person who was looking for some mundane goals. But there is something inner vision that I have received when I was doing my engineering in Odisha in 2000. And then that came from some inspiration I received from Lord Jagannath. And thereon, my life has completely changed. And I was looking for a guide. And I was thinking, somebody who can guide to some of the intellectual and very knowledgeable persons. Such a teacher must be visiting to IITs. So I must go to IITs. I was doing engineering in a normal engineering college. In Utkal University, under that Odisha Engineering College. But when I have received this inspiration from Lord Jagannath, and I started to think I should meet my spiritual master who is training to some intellectual people. And I tried to prepare my GATE exam, even though I was not a good student when I was studying engineering. Somehow, some strength came from within, and I got into IIT Guwahati for my master's. And there, I entire my duration, I not meet anybody that I could take guidance from. But when I came to IIT Kharagpur and for my Ph.D. in Ocean Engineering Department, so I met some of the students of Dr. T.D. Singh, Srila Bhaktisvarupa Damodara Goswami Maharaja. And when I interacted with him, and also what I am receiving from him from outside and also within, I got some directions and both matched. And I felt here, I must surrender and submit, and I should begin a life that is, directing me towards, a goal which is not being taught in common educations. They don't talk about the goal of life. So I have, received something goal there. So that's my, journey. You can say in mundane science, I was not satisfied because it was not giving answers to me about life and its purpose, its, real nature, all these things. So that's the journey began there actually in that way.
Wow. So how has it? I mean, if you look back, when you look back, from now and then, what are the changes you see within you?
Well, in myself, I can see this much that previously I don't have any direction, but I have some direction, and I feel that we have a nature actually. Dharma means nature. Like water has a dharma to flow. So the jiva soul has a dharma, and I am trying to practice that dharma under the direction how to establish in our constitutional position. So at least I have a goal or direction, and I am trying to progress. There is a path. I can see that. That is the difference, which is not there in the past. Not that I already finished everything, but I am in the journey that I feel.
Cool. So I have a lot of questions, and a couple of questions we've noted it down. So why Darwinians' view of life is unscientific? What is your point of view, and what is this all about? If you can.
See, in modern science, generally, if you see, you ask, how life, came into existence, and how these all different living forms that are around, like a bacteria, fish, frog, and all those things, how they came into existence. Then, generally, they will give an answer to us in the form of accidents. Accidentally, all the materials that were there, like Darwin proposed the concept of warm little pond idea, and they these all essential ingredients were there, and they come together, and the first life came, and that life somehow following some random accidental mutations, it transformed into other forms of life, and in this way the process continued. But what we find in nature, that is not happening. There may be materials for the building, and there may be forces and stuff like that, but that does not produce a building. To produce a building, you need the mind of the architect, and there is a purpose. So causality, what Darwin's theory proposes, is not fitting to the reality that we are observing. Even in the life forms that we are seeing around, those life forms actually they try to maintain their integrity and identity. A dog does not want to become a cat. Actually, dog wants to maintain its identity as dog. It does not become an elephant. Actually, the dog cannot produce a baby elephant. The process of life process. So every life type, they are producing their own type, and they have found something also in the developmental pattern, and even in the cellular functions. There are checkpoints, proofreading, error correction, so much of such mechanisms that modern biology has discovered, and those all things are confirming that life maintains, that the living forms maintains their identity. They make sure that some error should not happen, which will cause a big problem for its sustenance of the life. Thus, Darwin's theory does not fit with the.
Okay. Dr. Shanta, we lost you for a bit. Hello. Yeah, Dr. Shanta. We
Can you hear
lost
me?
your. We can hear your audio. Your video is turned off. Yeah, you're back now.
Can you see my video now?
Yes. Can you tilt your screen? You come into the center of the screen first of all. Yes. Yeah. This is better.
It's working better.
Yeah, Doctor. So you switch to your mobile phone now?
Yeah. No, not mobile phone, but I switched to the camera, which is working. Is it working now? Fine.
No, the video is turned off.
I'm not sure what is the problem happening with this Skype thing.
Okay. Yeah, now you're back. Can you tilt the camera towards you? A bit towards you. Close.
Is that fine? I'm not sure.
Lost your video again. Yeah, you're back. So can we tilt the camera towards you, Dr. Shanta? Yes. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, Dr. Shanta, so what are the scientific evidence that refute Darwin's view of life?
Actually, in Darwin in a time, he has given only some kind of fossil data as the evidence, and he tried to collect some fossil, and he presented that as the evidence for his claim, and he thought there are gaps in the fossil data that he has submitted, but in future, some scientists and geologists, they will work out the information and collect that fossil data, and that will support the idea that the gradual manifestation of life forms. But as the research progressed, they have found some very difficult issues. Either my video is coming fine now?
Yes, yeah, it's much clearer now.
Okay. So what they have found out is that there are four problems as far as fossil data is concerned. One is sudden appearance of form. Another is sudden disappearance of the form. The third one is the lack of transitional forms, and fourth one is stasis. So sudden disappearance of form means Darwin told when there is the atmosphere is favorable, then the species will flourish. But what they have found in the geological record that even though environment is very nice and everything supportive to the species, all of a sudden certain species they disappear. And what is the reason for that? They don't know. And Darwin's idea of gradual manifestation life form is also greatly challenged with some Cambrian explosion. What they found out in the fossil record, all of a sudden there is a explosion of all these species in that geological column. What can cause such type of sudden appearance of the forms? So that is also not clear. And then stasis also being observed in the sense from millions of years time one species is there and that also still now exists without any much change. So why such kind of stasis not changing aspect is manifesting in the fossil record. And see, from fish to frog there is a big change, and that change has never been observed in the fossil data. What we found is a developed species, means fish or frog. What we not found it, half fish and half frog, means that the change, the mechanism, how it is changing, that is being never being recorded in the fossil data. So these all things offering one of the biggest challenge as far as fossil data is concerned. And as far as mutation is concerned and the genetic information is concerned, later on, neo-Darwinism came up and they, put into genetic, explanation for Darwin's idea to support that. And they also found something very, difficult. The Darwin's concept of tree of life, what they wanted to substantiate by genetic mutation effects. They have found out that there is no tree, genetic tree of life, but it is the forest of life. This is all genes are so much intermixed. Even human body, it is 90% bacteria and 10% human cells. So there is lot of horizontal transfer and so many other ways the genetic information can be transferred. And these all things summarized in one nice book that is being published by a scientist called James A. Shapiro, who is a student of Nobel Prize winner Barbara McClintock. Evolution, a view from 21st century. So in that, from the cellular perspective, he has offered a significant challenge to Darwin's idea of gradual evolution. So there are many such evidences. Dr. Kunin, he has also published many papers and books. He has an idea of a biological Big Bang, and that challenges Darwin's idea of gradualism. So all these things are well documented and scientifical advanced research journals. They are being published and they are well recognized scientists. And many such scientists you will find these days, and they have a great what you can say objection to blindly propagate Darwin's idea in schools and colleges as if it is already established and proven idea.
Nice. So what are the alternate views that Chaitanya Institute wants to offer with respect to this?
Our institute name is Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute, and Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute wants to offer actually the concept of organic holism.
Okay.
See, what Darwin's idea is that everything happens by accident, but we don't see anything in this world that manifesting in an organized manner by accident. Accident only damages things actually. So we cannot expect even an aeroplane to, or even a bicycle or something like that will manifest by accident. It does not happen like that. Because why? You see, if you are going to a sea beach and some waves are coming, and the sand is arranged in a particular manner, which may make you feel this looks good, nice organization. But that organization will not grow into more complex direction. The same waves will come and they may destroy that organization. The force that is creating may also destroy. That's why engineers are being paid to use the energy in a particular manner to produce something useful. So our idea of this organic holism is this. In the, what you can say, developmental process of any organism, the zygote, the single cell, divides into 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, 16 cells, like that. And some cells becomes blood, tooth, and nose, eye, brain, all those things, and heart, lungs. These all organs of the bodies, they are not competing as Darwin's idea of survival of fittest competition. Those things, those organs are not competing. Rather, they are all working harmoniously towards the integrity of the body, as a dog body or a cat body or a human body. Same way, the entire reality, according to Vedic science, is an organic system. Everything is connected to everything else. But Darwin's theory, it proposes, everything is disconnected from everything else. A disconnected idea. But our Vedic idea is all connected. And our Vedic idea is not against the concept of evolution, but is against the concept of objective evolution of body. That means the fish body will not mutate and become by itself a frog body. But what Vedic idea suggests is that there is a inner principle which drives the body. There is a consciousness, and it is the empirical symptom of the soul. And that consciousness of the soul, if it changes or transformed by some association, and it gets the consciousness of the frog, the next life that soul may obtain frog body. So to accommodate different consciousness, there are different archetypes to accommodate varieties of consciousness. So thus, these all forms are there already. Only what type of consciousness an individual is cultivating, according to that, different forms are manifesting. And our land of Bharat, from the name of Bharat Maharaj, he was associating with a deer, and next life he got the deer body. It is there in our Srimad Bhagavatam. And also we find association and the consciousness that greatly influences the functioning of the body, and that's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching. Dehino yasmi yatha dehe komaram yoganam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhira tattvanamyate. See, the mind and the subtle form, the body, but manobuddhi ahankar of the child is different than that of a youth and different than that of a old man. So it is that subtle aspect that carries the soul from one gross body, like say child body, to the youth body and to the old body. They're all different bodies of completely different nature. So similarly, at the time of death, by a process, the soul transmigrates into another body. This is known as the theory of reincarnation or metempsychosis. And, that is there in our scriptures. And that is Vedic idea that we are propagating in a scientific way.
Super. So friends who have not known Dr. Shanta, so I have a short video which talks about his journey, the conferences, some of the projects he is involved in, creating awareness, creating education, taking this particular thing forward. So let me play this particular movie and then we'll get back with some more questions. wonderful journey. So I personally like the way you are having conferences, interreligious conferences, which basically talks about harmony, talks about spirituality within every religion, and everybody, all heads of religious, their own religion, are coming together and talking about it. This is very great initiative. So your journey talks about harmony completely. So what are what are your feelings when you meet people from other religion or other spirituality? Do you see a common connect?
My siksha Gurudev, Sripad Bhakti Puri Maharaj, who is the founding director of Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute, he often says about this, concept of universal, particular, individual. When you say animal, you go to forest, you never meet an animal. You meet either lion, tiger, all this, buffalo, all this different, particular and individuals. Same way, when you talk about, universal concept like religion, then it accommodates so many varieties of, particular and individual ideas. Religion is universal concept, and our mutt, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt's founder Acharya, Srila Dev-Goswami Maharaj, he has told something very interesting. He told, in our Vedic science, it is being told that the first knowledge, spiritual knowledge, is revealed by Lord Hari to Brahma, is the first living entity. But what Lord Hari told him and what Brahma received, there is some differences there. And when he transmitted that knowledge to students, there is further difference manifested. In that way, the jungle of religion manifested in this world. So these all have a common origin of Jainism, Buddhism, Christianity, or Mohammedan. These all have common origin. We all originated from a common source. But because of our receiving of the things, there is some diversity. If you even a teacher teaching in the class, all the students, they don't receive in the same way. All of them, they receive in a little different way. And thus, that is the nature of life, and diversity is the nature of life. It's not all in the same machine. So, in the midst of all these different religions, we should not forget what is the essence of religion. Religion means it's dharma, the nature. So, what is the nature of our being? Religion means to realign with that. At present, we are away from our real nature. So different religions, they are speaking a particular aspect of that, process. So we must appreciate that, the commonality of, different religious ideas. Of course, there is always a gradation that has to be also studied. Not that all are same. There is, education in class 1 also, class 2 also. There's education in normal engineering college, in IIT, MIT. They're all teaching engineering, but the gradations are there. And that is rated in our Vedic science based on the individual soul's relationship with the Absolute. How much intimacy is there between oneself. You only know there is God, but you don't have any details about God. That is one type of religion. And some religions, they're only teaching up to the soul and in interest of the soul, but they're not going to the concept of soul of all souls. So there are, in these all aspects, you can find a comparison of all these things in Srimad Bhagavatam and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You will find there is a comparison of different religious aspect, and there is a book that is being also published from our mutt that is called Subjective Evolution of Consciousness. It is the consciousness that evolves. What you can say in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that there are different living entities, different jivas, there are different modes. According to their modes, sattva, raja, tama, they practice certain things. But when they associate with some higher consciousness, then there is a possibility that they can leave that lower position and they come to higher position. So we have to accept all different what I can say individuals. There is a space for that in the universal concept of religion. So Vaishnavism is that universal concept of religion. It accommodates all different concepts. Even in Vaishnavism, there are different editions of concept of that connection of individuals with Lord Hari. So it accommodates all other varieties of ideas that must be there to appreciate unity in diversity. That is our idea. Unity in diversity.
Okay. So, any publications, anything that is recognizing this particular ideology?
We have actually, not yet, published anything in a specific as far as interreligious dialogue is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But we have publications as far as, the Darwin's idea of evolution, how it is not correct, and how Vedic view of life can, offer a proper alternative to the society. And we have publications in very good journals like Communicative Integrative Biology and Advanced, life sciences, and like that. And we have also published some books, chapters, published by Geological Society of India, and also, ICPR, Indian Council of Philosophical Research. We have published some, chapters in the books, and like that. We have, some peer-reviewed publications, and we have also online dialogues with around 30,000 to 40,000 scientists. We have a group, Google group, called Sadhu Sangha. You can search Sadhu Sangha Google group, and there are many scientists who are having dialogues also there. So in this way, our propagation is, both in the form of publications, and also we are going and doing a university outreach. We are reaching to the universities, colleges, and giving talks, and we are also organizing annual conferences. One of the annual conference cities that we are organizing is Science and Scientists. We have organized since 2013 every year this series, and we hold this conference in Bangalore University, and also we had recently in IIT Madras before pandemic ontological distinction between mechanical, chemical, and biological systems. And one of the version of Science and Scientists we had at Rutgers University in New Jersey, and we had many places like this. In Nepal Academy, we have this conference. Science and Scientists. So we are organizing often university outreach programs, which is not like a professional charged program, but it's a free program we are offering for the good of the society, because we know that the normal education what it is in present given to the people, that is like a slaughterhouse for the soul. They are not receiving any proper direction to do real good to their true self. They are thinking themselves as body. The whole education is to do some good to the body, but we know the body is changing every 7 to 8 years. All the constituents of the body is changing, but yet when man dies, we say the man left. But what is that aspect that is left, and what we are doing to that aspect? What is his true nature? And all these things, the Vedic view of life, which offers an alternative, and we must also see how from modern education this type of mistaken idea that Darwin's view of life is offering should be removed, and the proper scientific basis that life principle must be taught to the students, and that will be beneficial to the whole society. Otherwise, the disharmony in the society is too much if they are thinking themselves as chemicals, as Darwin's idea of life is suggesting. Then if somebody murders another person, there is no ethical issue. But chemicals, what kind of one chemical reaction and other chemical reaction that is going on. There is no ethical, or what you can say, some kind of higher spiritual principle can be attached if we are thinking ourselves as just chemicals. But if we are propagating that we are some spiritual beings, we have a goal, and we have to all go towards that common goal. We have a common goal. That can create a universal brotherhood, harmony, and everything. So that the society must look for.
Good. So, what is the difference from one person who is following Krishna consciousness and not following Krishna consciousness? So, what your point of view on that?
Yes, actually, see, the animals, they are actually always busy with these immediate biological needs: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. All animals, they are easily doing that. But our modern education and the people who are not want to be God conscious or Krishna conscious, then they are, what you can say, only busy with animalistic tendencies: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's why our Vedanta Sutra, first verse, it says, Pathato Brahma Jigyasa. Now the general understanding of this verse is, now you got human form of life, you must inquire about your true self. as spirit. And what is your origin? That second verse says Janmadasya. And what's your relationship with that? All those things. A human can inquire. A goat or a tree, they don't have such higher inquiries. They're only inquiring about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So this is one of the prime difference between the person who is not looking for God, what you can say, consciousness, and the person who is going towards Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness also, there is gradations. The preliminary inquiry is one thing, but the higher level is that we are not only looking for our own interest, but we have to look for there is some higher interest. If eye has its own interest, a ear has its own interest, a nose has its own interest, then the whole body will collapse actually. But if all the organs work for the common interest, that is a body, the center of the body, for that interest, then body is harmonious. Otherwise, they go in disordered manner, then that may manifest as cancer. Same way, at modern society, because everybody is working for their own selfish interest, it is going towards disharmony. If there is a common interest that manifests, the interest of the absolute, then there can be harmony, can be established, but universal brotherhood can be established. And everything in this world that we have not created, a scientist cannot create ocean, a river, mountain, all those things. Nor the scientist can stop earthquake, tsunami, and all those things. Nor they can create something like gigantic planets, they are floating. And they can only create some toys like aeroplane, which will fly for a certain time with fuel. But those gigantic things that are floating for so long time without colliding, even though the paths of all these planetary systems, different planets, they intersect. So we have to give that type of what you can say concept or idea in the society for the good of the society, and that is missing at present. That's why people are suffering anxiety, increased rates of suicides, and all those things are coming in the society. People are not helping to each other. This type of attitude is becoming very much prevalent. What to talk about other members of the society when in their family they are not properly behaving with their parents and their fellow brothers, like that.
Okay. Yeah, talking about that, there's I agree. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of disharmony. So you watch the news. I mean, nowadays, a summary of 5 minutes itself is enough, because you cannot dare to watch it for. So 1 minute goes for the current pandemic issue, but rest of it is all about anxiety. Cases, people still have time to fight against each other. People still have time, not worrying about pandemic, but they're still having they're killing people. There's mass killing. There are gunfights. So how do we stop that? How do we overcome this? What is the solution?
Yes, actually, you see, mind is the major problem. Anxiety comes from mind. So at present, there is nothing that is teaches in our modern scientific or advanced educational system how to what I can say properly discipline or train our mind. Actually, you see, we have this freedom, Independence Day that we celebrate for India. But is it really independence? Is it independence, freedom for the senses or freedom from the senses? Our founder Acharya of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute is saying, is it freedom for the senses or freedom from the senses? We have to learn how to free ourselves from the dictate of the senses. At present, senses are dictating us. And then senses, they are not independent of mind. If you are not mindful, even though your eye is open, something is moving in front of your eye, you cannot see that. So mind has very important role to play. So how to, what you can say, discipline the mind. So there comes the role of, guru, the spiritually realized person, who have transcendental mind, actually, who transcended the material mind, and they have cultivated spiritual senses, spiritual mind. Rishikeso Rishikedo Sevanam Bhakti Ruchite. The senses, when they are engaged in the service of the absolute, and when the mind is also trained to engage in the service of the absolute, then all can be transformed into spiritual plane, which will not disturb us, actually. Maya Daksena Prakriti Sveti Charachara. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in my direction this Prakriti is moving. And Prakriti consists of these all elements. Panchamahabhut, senses, mind, intellect, ego. There is Sankhya philosophy. It talks about different elements of matter. So this Prakriti that is under the control of Supreme Absolute. So we cannot control that Prakriti by our own finite ability, finite power. We cannot change it. But if you can discipline, like I can give you an example of Prahlad Maharaj. He's a small boy, and he was under so much anxiety, so much difficulties put under. But he was not affected at all, as if nothing is happening. He was thinking like that. And we can see that is the transcendental state. Means that cross the duality of pain, pleasure, day, night, happiness, unhappiness, all these things, that the nature of this mundane world. So spiritual life is to transcend this duality. And that a transcendental mind has already achieved. And if we can discipline our mind by becoming a disciple of such a transcendental person with transcendental mind, then it is possible. And such personalities are there in the Guru Parampara system, what Vaishnavism teaches about 4 Vaishnava Parampara, Sri, Brahma, Rudra, Kumar. The 4 Acharyas, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, and Nirmal. And there is a line of discipline, succession in that. So if one can connect to such, bona fide Acharya and can, learn to serve under that such type of Acharya and engage his mind and his senses, everything under his direction, then it is possible to transcend. The society in past was based on such principle. All the children were sent to the Gurukul and they were trained under a bona fide Acharya. So the society was not suffering this type of problem. But at present, some teachers, those who have themselves suffering from this disease, how can they cure the students from this type of suffering? So this type of help can possible if you can allow in our society for some bona fide transcendental teachers to guide the society. Then it is possible.
Very true. So, Dr. Shanta, right now during pandemic, a lot of people are going through life difficulties. Whether with financially, a lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people have lost their loved ones, and they're in shock. There is a lot of fear of pandemic, as to what will happen to me. So people have this fear in between. So during these life difficulties, how can someone overcome that? What is the suggestion you have for people to overcome this life difficulties?
This world in our Vedic science is told as Mrityu Lok. Mrityu Lok means this world is death is the reality of this world. Jagat means which is going always. This world is based on 3 principles: Srushti, Sthiti, Pralaya. Creation, maintenance, and destruction. In our body also, anabolism, metabolism, catabolism in biological sense. This world is based on that, and thus Krishna has informed us in Bhagavad Gita, Sansara Dukkhalayam Asasvatam. This world is the place of misery and temporary. You see, whatever you may do, some disease will come, you become old, you cannot stop that. Your death is inevitable. And whatever you are trying to collect, the money, the followers, or whatever, that is going to be lost today or tomorrow. This is all temporary. This body, the beautiful body that you are trying to give so much importance, that is also temporary. The person you are loving in this world, this is also temporary. So the solution is that people have to look for something of permanent nature. So Krishna gives that information to Arjuna. Arjuna, you are not this temporary body. You are doing everything based on identity of this temporary body. But you have to come to your identity, true identity as eternal soul. And also, not only that you have a separate identity, isolated from absolute as soul, but you are also servant of that. That's why it's Sarvadharman Pariteja Mamekam Saranam. You have to surrender. These are things Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. And we practically see that India has given so much of wisdom to everyone. The Alexander the Great, when he came to India, and he met, actually, when he was coming with all his soldiers, he met a simple saint with torn clothes, looking very simple person, but he's looking at Alexander saying, why are you looking at me, making your head high? Make your head down. I am such a great, victorious, king. Then he said that, I bow down before Lord. Why should I bow down before you? Then he said that I make all the different, great kings bow down before me by getting victories. If you would not bow down, then I will, kill you. He said like that. Then he said that you are under some misconception. You can never kill me, actually. You can only destroy my body, but you cannot destroy my soul. I'm already remembering Lord, and if you kill me, I can quickly go to Lord. That answer he given, and that has influenced Alexander greatly. He told what great science is there in this science of the soul that it makes a man fearless. Like you see the life of Prahlad and devotees like Pandavas and so many devotees. They're all not affected by any fear actually. They know if Lord wants to kill me, then nobody can save me. If Lord wants to save me, then nobody can kill me. And Lord wants to kill me, then nobody can protect me. This idea, Rakhe Hari Mare Ke, Mare Hari Rakhe Ke, this type of principle of surrender, Saranagati, we find in the life of devotees. So this type of concept of permanence, we have to go our real nature to solve the present problem of the society. But if you want to look for solution on the temporal plane, that is not going to be very beneficial because anyway today or tomorrow your problem will come. So then what is the difference between animals and ourselves? And we humans supposed to think something beyond what is immediately given to the senses. We have to penetrate, dive deep into reality. What our senses are seeing, our senses are seeing at long distance two railway lines they are meeting. But actually, we use another method to know no, that is not the case. Even though my eyes are seeing, and I'm seeing in the water a stick is looking bent, but we are giving so much explanation. No, it is not bent. And what are the reasons we are giving all those things? Because we are rational beings. So our rationality we have to use to discover our beautiful self, what is hidden because of our misconceived, self that we are, taking as a reality at present. So we have to dive deep into reality to unearth our real home and our real identity and all those things.
So very true. So what made you join Krishna Conscience full time after your great education and career? So, and what happened that day?
Yes.
I want to know
Actually,
what happened.
when I met my spiritual master, I was serving under him. Actually, it is the duty of the disciples, student, to ask what I must do, how may I proceed in spiritual life. Then I asked also my spiritual master, Srila Damodara Maharaj, that what I must do. Then he told me, actually, it happens to be the day that he disappeared. This question came to me. And he told, try to finish your Ph.D. quickly in IIT Kharagpur, then join 1 year as a postdoctoral scientist. Then you dedicate your life to spread the teachings of our, acharyas in the society, so that they can have some respect to your degrees, and then you can also use that in service of Krishna, and you spread the teachings of our acharyas. Then as he disappeared, so I was not sure, how I can do this. I was, very much helpless. Then he also told about his god brother, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, and he actually also a scientist, quantum chemist. My Harinam Gurudev Srila Damodar Maharaj is also a scientist, Ph.D. in quantum. He's actually in chemistry from University of Irvine, and Sripad Puri Maharaj is a quantum chemist from USA. So I could, connect with Sripad Puri Maharaj, Sripad Bhakti Madhav Puri Maharaj through the guidance of my Harinam Gurudev, Srila Damodar Maharaj. And he trained me all these years how to interact, how to present things properly, what are the teachings of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, what are the teachings of Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, and even I could properly dedicate my life to service of my Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Damodar Maharaj, because of the training of my Shiksha Gurudev, Sripad Bhakti Madhav Puri Maharaj. So I always, feel this is one of the divine arrangement that has happened, that I could meet him, and whatever I am, even though I feel myself very insignificant and unqualified, whatever I am at present, that is all, by His grace, by His mercy. So I only pray to Him that I could do something useful in the society and for others, as for the desire of the previous acharyas. So that's only my prayer.
Super, super. So before we end the show, any message you want to pass on to the audience? Any message you want to pass on during this particular pandemic time?
Actually, I want to say this, pandemic, what is manifested, it is also teaching to us something very important principle, that we are not the boss. Many people think we are the controllers. Or we have this, advanced technology, advanced, science, and advanced thing that we can control everything. We can solve all problems. It is not the case. We cannot solve. You see, a small unseen entity, some molecule, what they call it, coronavirus, and that has kept whole world in some lockdown. So what it teaches, that there is something much beyond our finite ability, and that importance of recognizing our limit or finitude is very, very important, and there is something higher is there, and to approach that we have to develop some humility. And aggressive method will not help, that I can know everything by my own power. No, if I develop proper attitude, then real and proper knowledge will be given to us. Not that I can get it. I cannot get it. The knowledge has to be given. Divya jnana hriday prakashita. If some people thinks that they can aggressively catch it, or they already have it, then they have no real understanding of reality. Actually, in the reality, the true infinite with the absolute, if it is infinite, then how can finite claim that it already grasped everything under its fist? No. If you are approaching the true reality, then your attitude is that I am insignificant, I am most fallen. And these qualities of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others, what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. Krishna came in this Kali Yuga in the mood of Srimati Radharani as a devotee, even though he is the Krishna is the supreme dominator, but very interestingly, he came as a servitor, as predominated. That Radharani is predominated moiety. So he came in the form of devotee to teach us how one must practice Krishna consciousness with the mood of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. So this teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if the society can try to understand and implement in their life under the direction of bona fide students of that philosophy of Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then that will be great benefit to the society in this difficult time in the age of Kali. As one of our acharyas, Srila Bhakti Thakur told, Kali kukura kandana jodi chao hai, Kali jugo pavana, Kali bhaya nasana, si sachi nandana gao. If you want to make Kali dog cry, then please chant the great Sachinandan's name. And Sachinandan, Krishna came in this age of Kali 500 years back at Nadia, Navadip, in the bank of Ganges, to teach 6 limbs of surrender, Saranagati. And if you can, what Bhagavad Gita ends, that Krishna says you must surrender. But the same Krishna came to teach how to surrender. That is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. If we can implement that in our life with the help of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then the whole society will be greatly benefited. This is my message.
Super. Thanks a lot, Dr. Shanta, for joining us on this particular show and giving a very detailed preview about there's something beyond science. There's some things which don't have answers, and there is a new perspective for it in Vedic science. And we've been running around technology. I really agree the way this pandemic has told us that we are not the boss. That's a very good perspective, and I really like the initiative where you're going around and creating conferences, attending conferences which is across all religions, discussing about spirituality. And most importantly, your emphasis is on harmony. It is not a competition that who is higher than each other, though there is grading as you mentioned, but it's all through a common goal of spirituality. So thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, friends, for joining us on watching this particular episode. So any questions, anything, we will share the website address of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute. So do reach out, do go through the team You will see a lot of scientists, including Dr. Shanta, on this particular thing. You will see the description out there. You will see their mission, and any questions you can definitely reach out with them. So thanks a lot, sir. Namaste.
Namaskaram, Raviji. Thank you very much for this, organization of this interview on this platform. I also offer my dandavat to all the viewers and all your members. I wish you good luck in your, endeavors, and may Lord bless all of us so that we proceed to please Him in the direction of His devotees. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, friends.